This is Eddy Franklin on KBPN 104.7 FM, and it's Sunday, November 18th, 2007, about 5 minutes past 10. Welcome to Blackpine After Dark. I'm up here in my attic like always, and the rain is drumming on the roof right above my head, steady, heavy, relentless. It's been raining since about 6 this evening, and it hasn't let up once. The kind of rain that makes you grateful to be inside, that makes you appreciate walls and a roof and warmth. I can see the street below, slick and shining under the streetlights. Beyond that, just darkness and rain. We don't get storms like this very often in Blackpine. Most of our rain comes gentle and steady, the kind that settles in for days at a time, but every few years we get a real storm, the kind with wind that rattles the windows and rain that sounds like it's trying to get in. Tonight is one of those nights. The room is warm, the coffee's hot, and outside nature is doing whatever it wants while we stay dry and comfortable. There's something deeply satisfying about that, being safe and warm while a storm rages outside. It's one of life's simple pleasures that we don't appreciate enough. This rain got me thinking about a storm from when I was a kid, maybe 45 years ago now, one of those memories that sticks with you, not because anything dramatic happened, but because everything felt exactly right. I'll tell you about that in a bit. But first, let's get to the news, because Thanksgiving is this Thursday, and there's plenty happening in town. So Thanksgiving is in 4 days, Thursday, November 22nd. And if you're like my wife, you've been planning the menu for a week already. We're hosting this year. Her sister and brother-in-law are coming up from Eugene, arriving Wednesday afternoon and staying through the weekend. The house is going to be full and loud and chaotic, and I'm looking forward to it. There's something about having family around that makes the house feel complete, even when it also makes it feel too small. Blackpine High played their first playoff game Friday night against Silverton, away game. It was a tough one. Silverton's been dominant all season, one of the strongest teams in the region. Our boys fought hard, kept it close through the first half, but Silverton pulled away in the third quarter, and we couldn't close the gap. Final score was 38-21. Silverton won. That ends our playoff run. But it was still the best season the Pioneers have had in 6 years. Coach Martinez told the team after the game that he couldn't be more proud of what they accomplished. Making it to regionals is something to celebrate, even if we didn't advance further. The whole town's proud of them. The town council met Tuesday and made their decision about the water mill they're moving forward with restoration. But it's going to be a multi-year project done in phases as funding allows. Phase 1 starts next spring, stabilizing the structure, replacing the roof, making it weatherproof. Everything else comes later. Mayor Hutchins emphasized this isn't going to happen overnight, but at least now there's a plan. The Historical Society is already talking about what to do with the building once it's restored. Museum, community space, something that serves the town. Dorothy at the library wants everyone to know they're starting a winter reading program in December. Details are coming soon, but she mentioned there will be a hot chocolate and cookies component, which honestly sounds like the best reading program ever devised. The old cinema showed High Noon this past weekend to good crowds. This coming weekend they're doing Shane, Friday and Saturday at 7, Sunday matinee at 3 last Western in the series, before they switch to holiday films in December. And, speaking of December, the town Christmas tree lighting is scheduled for Friday, December 7th at 6 p.m. in the square. They'll have hot cider, caroling, the usual festivities. They're still looking for volunteers to help decorate the tree on Thursday the 6th, if anyone's interested. Weather this week looks wet through Tuesday, then clearing up just in time for Thanksgiving. Highs in the mid-40s, lows in the mid-30s. Bundle up if you're traveling. That's the news. Let me get to some announcements. Sweet and Tart will be closed Thursday for Thanksgiving, reopening Friday morning at 6 a.m. As usual, Elizabeth wants everyone to know she's taking turkey orders for anyone who forgot to reserve one at Miller's Market. If you need a bird, call her by Tuesday. Miller's Market is open regular hours through Wednesday, closed Thursday, reopening Friday at 8 a.m. Bill says they've got plenty of cranberry sauce, stuffing mix, and pie ingredients if you're still gathering supplies. The church Thanksgiving service is Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Everyone's welcome. They're also doing their annual community Thanksgiving dinner Thursday at noon for anyone who doesn't have somewhere to go or doesn't want to cook. No charge, no questions. Just show up hungry. The community center's winter knitting classes that started last week are going really well, but they've got room for more people if anyone wants to join late Thursday classes at 6 p.m. And my wife reminded me to mention the library will be closed Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving weekend. Regular hours resume Saturday. That covers announcements. I'm going to step away for a minute and refill my coffee while this rain keeps coming down. When I come back, I'll tell you about that storm from when I was a kid. Back in a moment. The rain hasn't let up at all. If anything, it's coming down harder now, and I can hear the wind picking up too. The trees are probably taking a beating out there. Tomorrow morning we'll see branches down, leaves plastered everywhere, puddles that'll take days to drain. But right now, up here in my warm attic with my coffee, listening to the rain drum on the roof, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. All right, let me tell you about that storm I mentioned. It would have been around 1962 or 63. I think I was 11 or 12 years old, living here in Blackpine with my parents and my younger sister. Late autumn, probably early November, similar time of year to right now. We don't get heavy rainstorms like this often. We're in the mountains. Our weather tends towards steady drizzle rather than dramatic downpours. But every few years a system comes through that really lets loose. This particular storm rolled in on a Saturday afternoon. I remember because I'd been outside playing with friends earlier in the day, and we'd been watching the clouds build all morning, dark and heavy, moving in from the west. By early afternoon, the wind started picking up, and by 3 o'clock the rain began. Not a gradual start, just suddenly pouring like someone had turned on a faucet. My mother called me and my sister inside, and we stood at the living room window watching it come down. The rain was so heavy you could barely see across the street. Water was already running in rivers down the gutters, and the wind was bending the trees in ways that made you worry they might snap. My father came home from the mill around 4. He'd left early because the weather was getting bad, and when he came through the door he was absolutely soaked despite his rain gear. He stood in the mud room dripping while my mother brought him towels. And I remember him saying he'd never seen rain like this in all his years in Blackpine coming from him. That meant something. He wasn't given to exaggeration. The power flickered a few times but stayed on, which we were grateful for. The house was warm, the lights were on, and outside the storm just kept building. The wind was howling now, not just blowing. You could hear it in the chimney, around the corners of the house, rattling the windows in their frames. The rain against the windows sounded like handfuls of gravel being thrown. We were stuck inside, obviously. Nobody was going anywhere in that weather. And here's what I remember most clearly. It turned into one of the best evenings I can recall from my childhood. My mother made beef stew for dinner. I can still smell it. Beef and carrots and potatoes and onions, thick and rich, simmering on the stove all afternoon while the storm raged outside. She made fresh bread, too, and the house filled with those two smells, stew and bread, while the rain drummed on the roof and the wind howled around the corners. Let me tell you, there are very few things in life that smell better than freshly baked bread. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. We ate dinner at the kitchen table with the storm loud enough that we had to raise our voices to be heard. My sister kept getting up to look out the window, fascinated by the drama of it all. My father told us about the worst storm he could remember from when he was a boy, when a tree had come down across Main Street and blocked it for a day. After dinner, we moved to the living room. My mother had a fire going in the fireplace, and the four of us just stayed there. My father in his chair reading the newspaper, my mother knitting in her chair by the lamp. My sister and I on the floor playing cards. I think it was crazy eights. Though I'm not certain after all these years. Every so often one of us would go to the window and look out, but there wasn't much to see. Just darkness and rain, and the occasional glimpse of the streetlight across the way through the sheets of water. The storm showed no signs of stopping. If anything, it seemed to be getting worse. But inside it was perfect, warm and safe and together. The fire crackling, the rain on the roof, my mother's knitting needles clicking, my sister arguing with me over whether she'd played her cards legally, my father occasionally reading something interesting from the newspaper out loud, to no one in particular. Around 9 o'clock my mother made hot chocolate, and we sat drinking it while the storm continued. My sister fell asleep on the couch around 9:30, and my mother carried her upstairs to bed. My father and I stayed up a little longer, not talking much, just sitting there listening to the rain. I remember thinking, even at 11 or 12 years old, that this was one of those moments you should pay attention to, not because anything exciting was happening, but because everything felt right. The storm outside, the warmth inside, the four of us together in our little house, while nature did whatever it wanted outside, we were safe. We were together. We were content. The storm lasted most of the night. By morning it had passed, leaving the town soaked and scattered with branches and leaves, but no real damage. A few trees down in the forest, some minor flooding down by the river, nothing serious. Just a really impressive storm that gave us all something to talk about for a few days. But what I remember isn't the storm itself. What I remember is that evening inside, the beef stew, the fire, the sound of rain on the roof, my family around me, the absolute certainty that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. My father died in 1986. My mother in 2003. My sister lives in Arizona now. We talk every few weeks, but I don't see her often. That house where we lived, it's still there on Elm Street, but another family lives in it now. Everything from that night is gone, except the memory. But sitting here tonight, listening to this rain drum on my roof while my wife reads downstairs, and I'm up here warm and dry talking to you folks, I'm reminded of something important. The feeling from that night. The feeling of being safe and warm while the storm rages outside. Of being content with simple things, of appreciating the people you're with. That feeling doesn't belong to one night 45 years ago. It's available any time you pay attention to it. This Thursday is Thanksgiving, and yes, we'll have the big meal and the family gathering and all the traditional things. But the real gift of Thanksgiving, I think, is taking time to notice what we have. Not the big things necessarily, but the simple things. A warm house on a cold night, people you care about, the sound of rain on the roof, a cup of coffee, the fact that we're safe when the storm is raging. Those are the things worth being thankful for, because those are the things that make up a life. The quiet moments, the simple pleasures, the feeling of being exactly where you're supposed to be, even when, especially when, nothing dramatic is happening. That's what I'm thankful for this year. The ordinary magic of being warm and safe and loved. The same things I had that night 45 years ago, just in a different house with different people. The same things you probably have right now, if you stop and pay attention. All right, that's my rainstorm story. Let me take another break. This coffee's gone cold and the rain is still coming down. Back in a moment. Thanksgiving is in 4 days. 4 days until houses fill with family and the smell of turkey and the chaos of too many people trying to use one kitchen. At the same time, I'm looking forward to it, even the chaos. Especially the chaos, maybe. Let's get to your letters. P.O. Box 147, Blackpine. First one here. Eddie, I need your help getting in touch with someone. I've been trying to reach my friend Ivana for weeks, but haven't been able to get a hold of her. We used to talk all the time, but she's been really busy lately. Ivana Tinkle, if you're listening, this is your friend. Please give me a call. Miss talking to you. Thanks, Eddie. Well, that's tough when friends get too busy to keep in touch. Life gets hectic, work piles up, and weeks go by before you realize how long it's been since you talked to someone you care about. I understand that. Ivana, if you're listening, your friend misses you and wants to reconnect. Give them a call when you get a chance. We all need to be better about staying in touch with the people who matter to us, especially this time of year. Don't let busy schedules get in the way of friendship. Good luck reconnecting. I hope Ivana gets in touch soon. This next letter is a bit strange. This isn't really a letter. I'm not sure what this is. It came in an envelope with no return address. Postmarked from Blackpine 3 days ago. Just says KBPN, P.O. Box 147 on the front. I opened it, and there's a single piece of paper inside with one sentence written in neat handwriting. The Blackpines remember. They've always been watching. December 10th. That's it. No signature. No explanation. December 10th? What could that be? I don't know what to make of this. Could be someone's idea of a joke. Could be, I don't know. It's odd. The Blackpines are part of our town's history. We talked about them a few weeks back, but I'm not sure what they remember or what their watching means. If whoever sent this is listening, I guess you got my attention. Not sure what you're trying to say, but you've certainly made it mysterious. All right, moving on to the next letter now. Eddie, I need you to settle something. My neighbor put up his Christmas lights this past weekend. Full display, inflatable Santa, everything. It's November 11th. We haven't even had Thanksgiving yet. He says it's easier to do it now while the weather's decent. I say Christmas decorations should wait until after Thanksgiving. What's your take? We've agreed to accept your ruling as final. Well, here's my ruling. Your neighbor's too early. Christmas decorations go up after Thanksgiving, not before. Let Thanksgiving have its moment. It's a good holiday, and it deserves its own space without Christmas crowding in. Now, I get the practical point about weather. It is easier to hang lights when it's 40 degrees instead of 20. So here's the compromise. Put the lights up early if you want, but don't turn them on until after Thanksgiving. String them up this weekend, get the work done while it's nice out, but leave them dark until Friday after Thanksgiving. That's what my wife and I do. So tell your neighbor to flip the switch off until next Friday, November 23rd. Then he can light up the whole display, and nobody can complain after Thanksgiving, not before. That's the letters for tonight. Let me tell you one quick thing about apples, and then we'll wrap up. Here's a fun fact for you. The biggest apple ever recorded, the world record, is held by a Japanese farmer named Chisato Iwasaki, who grew an apple that weighed 4 pounds and 1 ounce. That's right, 4 pounds. For context, a normal apple weighs maybe half a pound, maybe a little less. This thing was 8 times that size. It was a Hokuto apple, which is a variety bred in Japan specifically to grow large. Iwasaki grew it in Hirosaki City in 2005. And it took careful cultivation, perfect conditions, and a lot of patience to get an apple that size. Now, I should mention that really big apples aren't necessarily better apples. Bigger often means the flavor is more diluted, the texture is mealier. The best eating apples tend to be medium-sized, concentrated flavor, good texture, the right ratio of skin to flesh. But there's something impressive about a 4-pound apple nonetheless. Just the dedication required to grow something that large. Iwasaki probably spent months monitoring that one apple, making sure the tree had perfect nutrition, the right amount of water, optimal growing conditions. So next time you're eating a normal half-pound apple, just remember, somewhere in Japan, someone grew one 8 times that size. Not because it tasted better, but because they could. That's human nature for you. We can't resist pushing things to their limits just to see what's possible. That's your apple fact for tonight. Short and simple. The rain is starting to ease up finally, still coming down, but not with the same intensity it had an hour ago. By morning it'll probably be down to a drizzle, and by Tuesday, the forecast says it should clear up completely. Just in time for Thanksgiving, which is good news for everyone traveling. This Thursday, when you're sitting around the table with your family, maybe take a moment to appreciate the ordinary things. The warm house, the food, the people around you, even the difficult ones. The fact that you're inside while the weather does whatever it wants outside. That's the gift of Thanksgiving. I think not the turkey or the pie, though those are nice, but the reminder to pay attention to what we have, to be grateful for the simple things that make up a life. I'll be back next Sunday, November 25th, the Sunday after Thanksgiving. I'll want to hear how your holidays went, so write in and tell me, until then, stay dry this week. Be kind to each other. Tell the people you love that you love them. Life's short and uncertain, but we've got each other, and that's worth everything. Thank you for listening tonight and for keeping me company while the rain comes down. This is Eddy Franklin, and you've been listening to Blackpine After Dark on KBPN 104.7 FM. Good night, Blackpine. Happy Thanksgiving.